That'll be a suspension. That'll be a fine. Nyland going ballistic. He's a freaking madman.
I'm Chris Nyland, and this is the Raw Knuckles Podcast. So, Tim, Stanley Cup Final, it's awesome. Great to see these two teams. Again, one powerhouse offensive team, two best players in the world, Draisaitl and McDavid. And then on the flip side, you have the Florida Panthers ready to take this one into the alley. This is going to be an incredible, I think, final. Listen, my prediction is the Panthers win in 6. I would love to see it go 7, but I think the Panthers will get it done in 6 games. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the Panthers. I think
it's too bad we can't disagree.
No, well, here's what I think. I think if the Panthers win, they're going to win like 4-1. But if Edmonton wins, it's going to go like 7 or 6. You know,
Yeah.
But I just think it's hard to. If you had to pick a team out of the two, I mean, it is going to be. I'm looking forward to it so much, but the Panthers, you know, they were there last year. They got a team that's even better. I don't know. They just seem like they're on a mission. They seem, you know, they just bullied everyone, you know, on their way to the finals this year. And I think,
and
I think we talked about this. I think their top players are like hard to play against, and that's the thing they add that no other team has right now is like you can't. You know, if you're going to try to shut down some of their guys, you're going to have to do it, you know, by taking a lot of shit. You know, they're not easy to play against. So I mean, I don't know. Panthers are you know, should win this. I would like to see Oilers win though. I don't know, you know, but I do think the Panthers. You asked the question the other day. I like the question. Is that what you're going to ask?
Yeah, a couple things, right? But you know, when I look at the Panthers here, and I look what they did against the Rangers, right? It wasn't a blowout. They were all pretty close games, but man, they just had it all over New York. Look at New York, that Zibanejad, Panarin, Kreider. They scored 2 goals in that series. Like, hello. Now, McDavid, Draisaitl, you know, we're talking 2 best players in the world. Can they shut them down? They did it every series, Florida, right? They did it in Boston with Marchand and Pasternak, right? Which, hello. And then they did the same thing against Tampa Bay. You know, they shut Tampa Bay down offensively. So, you know, this team is so strong on the wall, on the boards, through the neutral zone. They get their D involved. I just see, you know, I see Edmonton really having a difficult time with it. But that being said, you know, you look at the middle of the ice, and you look at Florida up the middle. You know, Barkov, Bennett, Lundell, man, and then their fourth line is Stenlund. Stenlund's 6'4", 210. They have big center icemen, and you build your team with center icemen. All right, they split McDavid and Draisaitl up. You got McDavid, then you got Draisaitl, those 2 centers. Then you got Henrique, and you got Derek Ryan. Hello. I believe the Panthers have it up the middle, that up the middle strength. They got to stay out of the box, no question.
But I mean, I think even that game 6, you like you look at McDavid and it's almost like he's got a quiet 31 points, right? Like, and he's got 31 points, and it's unbelievable. But like, yeah, if they can, you know, the thing that with Florida, they do play on an edge. They do got to try to do the best they can to stay out of the box, because sometimes like that game 6 against Dallas, it's like, would they have 10 shots, Edmonton? You know what I mean? And they still won 2-1, and it's like, you know, McDavid scores on the power play, and then one little turnover, one little mistake. That's how good Draisaitl, McDavid, and those guys are. But other than that, I mean, if you keep them off the power play, which, I mean, it's not necessarily realistic. It's going to happen, special teams. But that's a big chance that maybe Edmonton has is maybe in the special teams department. But 5-on-5, yeah. I mean, I feel like Florida can throw out anybody. You know, Edmonton seems to me like they got 2 lines, their third, fourth line. They're all like the same guys. like McLeod, like, see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're all, and then Florida, they throw out some of their third, fourth line guys. They're hard-working guys, but they're good, too. It'll be an interesting series. I think, I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and the reason, when I look at Florida again, they have been a team that has committed themselves to their identity, right? That team game on night in and night out. They have not wavered. They haven't changed. No matter what the score is, they play that game. God, I love it. It's smothering, right? They're in your face. You have no room out there. And, man, that makes a big difference. And that wears on, teams you play against. When you go up against that, it just wears on you mentally and physically. And I'll just go back to the Rangers. You see what happened with Zibanejad, Panarin, and Kreider. They just wore that team down. They were lucky to win the 2 games they won, right? The Rangers. So now we're talking the best players in the world. When you look at the overall offense of this team, man, they're top guys, right? Nugent Hopkins, 20 points. McDavid, 31. Zach Hyman, 18. Then you go to the second grouping. You got Draisaitl, 28 points. Ryan McLeod on his left wing, 1 point. Right wing, Corey Perry, 1 point. But
well, no, it's funny you say that, 'cause
still,
I think the same thing. It's like there's the Stanley Cup playoffs, and then there's the Stanley Cup Finals. And it's like maybe one of these guys step up and just have an unbelievable series. Like an Evander Kane can come through. He only has 4 goals. Corey Perry has 0 goals. You're right. Like they maybe that's like Game 5 in that Dallas series. Like Nugent Hopkins stepped up big time. Not saying he's not a big part.
He's unbelievable, right? That kid. He's got that taste for it, right? I mean, he wants to win a cup.
I think there's also room for some of these guys to step up and steal a game. But yeah, they depth-wise though, you look at Florida's. We talked about this. It's pretty incredible. Like their whole line. And then they got Bobrovsky. Like it's not like they have a shady goaltending either. The guy probably definitely has the best save of the playoffs so far against Dumba. Remember that save? Just comes to mind. But overall, he's just been phenomenal. And I love Paul Maurice. I do love Paul Maurice. I hope he, wins a cup. So there's a lot of positives on the Florida side of it. But who knows? Anything can happen.
Bobrovsky, Sergei Bob. Sergei Bob, for years they said, he doesn't win the big ones in the playoffs, blah, blah. He's really, after the first round, he was a little shaky the first round, but he's been lights out up till now. And, I give the edge certainly to Florida as far as goaltending. Skinner, listen, he made his way this year. He made a name for himself. He's done well. But is he going to steal you that game? You're going to need to steal? I don't know. And I like their defense, Florida. When you look at, come on, Forsling, Ekblad, then Mikkola, Brandon Montour. I love Brandon Montour. And then that third group, and they got Kulikov and Larson, a couple of, cagey vets on the back end. So, I love their D on the back. They really, you look at that Forsling, the 11 points.
Some of the goals he scored,
he's played unbelievable.
I never realized
he played unbelievable defensively, right?
And then like offensively, like he's got an unbelievable shot. It's if he gets just a half a second of time, he snaps that thing off. So they have a lot of deadly weapons too, and it's just when you just look down the roster, like you just look at like Verhaeghe, Reinhart, Bennett. Like any of these guys, you throw them on Edmonton, they would be top 2, lines. It's just you forget. Sam Bennett was like the public enemy number 1, and it's like you forget about, and he's and then you got on the you still got Barkov, Kachuk. And you got
Tarasenko on the third line. You know what I mean? Big, heavy, fucking.
And so it's a team that was there last year, right? So they definitely they're on a mission. So it's not like they're just happy to be there. There's a reason they're there, and it's going to be a tough one for Edmonton. But we'll see.
Calling all hockey lovers. Upgrade your podcast experience by becoming an enforcer. Gain access to the greatest hockey doc ever, The Last Gladiators. And don't settle for ordinary. Join the Fight Club over on Patreon today. And it's funny, when you look at the players I mentioned there, Forsling, they got him off waivers, Gustav Forsling. They got him off waivers. Then they got Carter Verhaeghe for nothing. Like, hello. And certainly that whole thing changed in Florida when Tkachuk came and Bennett came, the two of them. But Tkachuk more so, that edge. I look at the Montreal Canadiens. I go back to that. God, if they could have ever picked Tkachuk in the draft and they ended up taking Kotkaniemi, I mean, he would have been perfect here for the Montreal Canadiens. That kid would have been perfect. And
I don't even think I knew. I didn't even think.
Anyway,
about the
we're talking about the Stanley Cup Final here.
Montreal should have done. What number was that in the pick in the draft?
They picked Kotkaniemi, I think 5, and Ottawa afterwards picked Tkachuk. I just hello. Anyway, back to this series again. This team, man, the Panthers, they grind you down. They just, they beat you in the alley. They got to stay out of the box for sure, no question. That's going to be an issue if they, they get frustrated at all, and Edmonton can frustrate them at times. They're going to have to stay out of the box because they got that deadly power.
Honest question, before the playoffs started, I think you said Colorado. Who'd you have in the finals in your head? I don't think we said it, but who were you?
I think it was Colorado, and I believe I had Florida in the East. Colorado and Florida, I believe. I have to go back and check my papers, Tim. I don't know.
We don't keep notes.
Right?
We don't keep notes.
Funny, right? Funny. I remember we did it.
But we only did like the first round, and then I just remember you saying Colorado, who I have in the finals. But shit happened with them.
Yeah, I had Colorado and
Colorado was.
Yeah.
It's almost like that whole Natushkin thing and all that stuff. Kind of just things happen. Things happen.
Wow.
But they were like looking pretty good, like as a team, So who knows? I'm just itching for this. Has been a long break for this. It's like just waiting.
Right.
It almost feels like there's nothing to watch. But NBA Finals.
Well, think of it's been tough not watching for us. Probably good for them in the sense both teams get a little bit of a break. Until they play that first game. But, Florida was there last year. Did you see what the Edmonton coach said? They asked about the experience in the Stanley Cup Final.
The Bills.
And he mentioned the Buffalo Bills, right? Well, they had experience in the Super Bowl.
Everyone in Buffalo is like, football fans are probably like, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, could that be bulletin board material? It probably will be, but I don't think this Florida team needs any of that, to be honest. You can certainly use it, but I don't think they need it. It's going to be a fun series to watch. See what happens here, game 1, boy, I just can't wait to see the pie. I love playoff hockey. There's nothing like it.
No, it's the best. I that's what I'm saying. It's like, the less it's on right now, it's hard. Because, every round gets less and less games, and then this, and it's like you're waiting a week. But what's the last game? Could be 24th of June? Like, that's nuts, right? Isn't that? Yeah. That's way later than what it's used to be. I guess it's better for us. I don't know. But, yeah.
Yeah, you don't mind. You win. You win that Stanley Cup. It's great. Florida knows what it's like now to get to the final and not win it. I just couldn't.
But as a player, what if you had
now,
8 days off before you played and you won a cup? Like did you ever have that big of a break?
Yeah, we had not 8 days, but we've had a little bit of a break. Sometimes it can be advantageous when you have guys that are hurt. Both these teams are pretty healthy, right? There's no big injuries, but I'm sure everybody's banged up a little bit. But where both teams have a little time off, I don't think it's it's going to be an issue. Sometimes a team goes 7 and they jump right into that next series. Sometimes you can carry that momentum. And the other team maybe say they swept a team and they had 6-7 days off, and all of a sudden this team comes in after just winning the game 7, they're ready to rock. Depends, you just never know when it comes to that. A lot of people think you can carry that momentum from one series to another. Look at the Montreal Canadiens back in 2021, right? They roared back and beat Toronto. And then, boom, they end up in the Stanley Cup Final. Nobody had them there. That was they were riding Carey Price, and they certainly were riding that momentum from round to round. I mean,
I forgot about that, too. Someone was mentioning, how the last Canadians,
they beat Winnipeg. They swept Winnipeg. They swept them.
I forgot about that.
And then they beat
That was
Vegas.
A COVID year, right?
Yeah,
I don't know what. Yeah,
because
I know they were 93. They won. Then it was 2006. Edmonton was in the finals. Vancouver 2011, and then and then it was Montreal. I was Montreal was in the finals. That's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't even
against Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah.
They win one game in the final, but.
You think that game? Do you think that series is a different? Not Montreal wins, but just a different series if it's a full house at the game. I mean, because there's no.
I don't think they beat Tampa. Tampa was
unbelievable, but I mean,
at that time they just had too much depth.
They were
too
so
good.
Yeah.
There's no way they were going to beat them.
Good.
You know.
But that would have been cool. The city would have been nuts, though. I mean, it probably still was, but it was just a little different, probably, right?
Listen, this city here will go nuts, Tim, when they make the playoffs again. There's a whole different feeling here. I remember back in the day when they would play. This town, people drive around with Canadians flags out the window. It's crazy. There's just a different feeling in this city when the team is in the playoffs. And I remember back when we always played the Bruins in the playoffs, always. And the series were unbelievable, and the hype, and it was incredible. And they haven't had that here in so long. And 2021, the pandemic, no one got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
They only let so many people in the building. All the
you go to any of the games
with COVID. Yeah, I went. I went to the Vegas games.
Final.
I didn't go to any. Tampa.
Did you?
In the final, but
you think all of Canada's rooting for Edmonton?
Most likely. They living here. You constantly hear it on the airwaves. We want a Canadian team to win. Who's going to be the first Canadian team to win? They're all fucking Canadians in the league anyway. I mean, but they feel like the Canadian team wins the cup. It's back in Canada. But, I think it's going to end up in Florida this year. Anyway, we'll see what happens here, and we'll have to revisit this, Tim, after the Stanley Cup is given out.
Yeah, and then on a little bonus feature, who do you got in the NBA Finals?
Oh,
yeah.
Come on, my Celtics.